Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Becky, and we're parents to 2 little kids. Parenting isn't always easy. There are ups and downs, good days and bad days, days with way too much TV, and days with lots of laughter. Moments where you just feel overwhelmed, and moments where you've never felt more proud.
At the end of the day, parenting is super rewarding, but also super hard. This podcast is for all the parents out there who feel like they have no idea what they're doing, because we're right there with you. This is the Spillproof podcast.
Welcome back to the Spillproof podcast. I'm Becky.
And I'm Dave.
And today, we're talking about sleep regression.
Yeah.
No one's favorite topic.
No. So it's interesting. I think we probably had this on our topic list for a while. Mm-hmm. We keep losing our topic list and then making a new one. So this has been reoccurring on every single topic list we've had. And it is kind of more relevant for us recently because one of our children is kind of going through a sleep regression.
He is, yes.
And by he,
we mean Owen.
Owen, our oldest.
Owen, yes. He just turned 3, and apparently there can be a 3-year sleep regression. It can really be a sleep regression.
Well, so this is funny. So I thought before, because, sometimes I do very light research, and I thought, let me do a little bit of research for this one. So I did. I literally Googled sleep regression for kids. I think it was like sleep regression for kids or sleep regression in kids. If you want to read something funny or have it, if you have a Google phone or whatever and you say it into it and it speaks the answer back, Google that. Because this is what it says. A quick Google search of that. It says it can happen at any age, 4 months, 8 months, 18 months, 2 years, 12 months, 10 months, and 11 months.
Oh.
That's Google's answer. Google doesn't know when you have sleep regression.
Because it's always. No.
It
can
always
happen at any time, really. I think there are more common times like that, like 4 months, 8 months, when kids
if Google doesn't
tend
know, we're
to
screwed.
Have them, but right? That's a good point. If Google doesn't know.
Google knows everything except for when your kid's going to have sleep regression.
Google's child is going through a sleep regression, so it can't get its facts straight.
The first answer is anytime.
Anytime, yeah.
It blanket statements. It could be anytime. And that's true.
It can.
It honestly is true.
Mm-hmm.
The whole sleep regression at these times, yes, that happens, but because it's always happening. And for us, I think it was more noticeable because we did sleep training for both our kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do feel like we've been pretty lucky so far with sleep regressions. Up until our most recent one with Owen, they've been fairly quick, week and a half, 2 weeks at most. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, they're maybe a week.
When we were sleeping on the floor in his room, was that before or after sleep training?
Before sleep training.
Okay. That was a very long stretch.
That was like 2 months of sleeping on the floor.
Achy backs and necks.
Yeah, we decided, and our pediatrician was like, you need to sleep train your child. Yeah, every night we slept on we went back and forth and slept on his floor.
So sometimes it might not be noticeable. I mean, if you didn't do sleep, there's nothing wrong with not doing sleep training. We just decided that we wanted to make sure we did that and they slept in their rooms and not on our bed. So it was a little more noticeable for us when they were, having these sleep regressions because both kids surprisingly have always been really good sleepers.
Yeah.
Once they were in that sleep trained phase.
Yeah, sleep regression can be tricky though, because especially if your kids have been sleeping through the night and then all of a sudden they're not and they're waking up several times a night.
It's a shock for everybody, the kids, the parents.
Yeah, it's a shock for them because they just want to sleep, but then they get cranky and they're crying and then they want cuddles, right? Mm-hmm. And then as parents, you're kind of shocked because you just want to sleep and you're not used to being up all night. You're used to getting your 6, 7, maybe sometimes 8 hours of sleep with them sleeping through the night. So it's a shock for everyone. I feel like we've come up with some key things to do each time just to keep us sane. Especially when you're tired at night. I get really irrational when I'm tired, especially in the middle of the night. So we always have to, like that first night, I'm usually panicking.
That they're never going to sleep.
Yeah. I can't count the number of times I've told you, I don't think I'm ever going to sleep again. Or they're never going to sleep.
Serious about
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. Like concerned, like I'll never sleep again. And it's the first night of a sleep regression. So I tend to catastrophize that first night. But we've come up with some good takeaways, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we've definitely worked through all of them. And I think the biggest problem with sleep regressions is that, again, they can happen at any time. But, for sometimes it's sick. Kids get sick. You get stuffy noses. Owen right now has a really stuffy nose, so we plan on getting no sleep this weekend and probably a COVID test at some point. That'll be negative. But it could be anything. It could be, they have a stuffy nose, so they're up, and then
it leads to a sleep regression.
Yeah, and then they're sick for a week, and now they've kind of been trained to wake up at night every night. So then you got to retrain. So it's constant. It could just be nothing too. Or our most recent one was he's having growing pains. And he's been waking up 2 to 3 times every night because his knees are really, really short and stubby and growing.
They're growing though.
They're growing.
They're not going to be short and stubby for long.
No, he's not going to have my legs.
But yeah, we have... Our thing is we come up with a plan because the first couple nights we inevitably make bad choices.
Well, and honestly, it is so hard to make these choices or even have rational conversations at 12, 1, 2, 3 a.m.
4, 5 a.m.
sometime in the middle of the night / early morning. And not have, I don't want to say a fight, but just not have
like
people
be short with each other,
yeah,
and then you feel like you're not on the same team. And
if you walk into it with a plan, even a lightly written one of every other time one of us is going to get up, it just makes it just that much easier, even if you don't set how long you're going to be in there for or whatever it might be. That does help too.
Yeah. Like for us, we like to have a specific plan. So that's, and I don't want anyone to think like, it's not like we don't go in there and pick up our kids and hug them and like sit with them and cuddle them. Like we totally do that because we
been doing that for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. We want to make sure that they feel loved and supported and not like abandoned in the middle of the night. But then we also let them know that they do have to go back to bed. I mean, and also if they're truly sick, all rules go out the window.
Yeah.
Right? Like I will sleep on the couch with them.
I was going to say, Emmy's had a couple stomach aches where we brought her down and we just sat with her downstairs for a bit.
Because she just like she had such gas. It ended up being gas that she needed to just fart it out. But every once in a while she just has really bad stomach pains, and we're not going to let her cry it out in that situation. Like she's in pain, she's sick, she needs to be held and loved. So we're not saying in every situation, like sleep train or, let them whine or cry a little bit. Like it's when you're trying to get them back to the routine. When they're sick, like I said, we have no rules when they're sick. It's whatever's going to make them feel better. Owen inevitably wakes up
tonight because he's so stuffy and can't breathe. We'll probably sit with him for 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah, just so that way his nose can train. And, he's probably not feeling good. So we'll give him hugs. I don't
recommend a nose Frida in the middle of the night.
Well, yeah, especially without, like, Owen's too big for that.
I bet you could still use it on him.
He would hate it.
They all hate it.
They all hate it. But I feel like at a certain point, they'll remember that you used a nose ring. Once they can remember.
You literally put your mouth on a straw and suck snot out of their nose.
Yeah, don't do it. So for us, we, like I said, the first 2 nights we'll probably like make bad choices or start even
because
bad habits.
You don't know that you're in a sleep regression.
And you're just trying to get through to the morning.
It sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, well, it's a one-off.
Yeah, right? Like,
the next
it's not like they wake up in the middle
off.
of the night and go, this is night one, parents.
Mm-hmm.
You think, oh, this is a random situation, like a random occurrence. And the next night or the next night's fine. But then 2 nights later, it happens again. And then it's
2 nights becomes a week.
It's again. And then,
2 weeks.
yeah. And then they are asking for the same things that you did the first night.
Mm-hmm.
So we make a plan. We also have good coffee.
Yeah.
That's essential. We grind our own beans at home, which makes a really good coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things we will discuss, it's really different each time, but we'll discuss like, are we going to pick them up?
Mm-hmm.
And or are we going to go over and give them not necessarily pick them up, but we're just going to give them a hug,
while they're
rub their
standing in the
back
crib.
while they're standing, lay them back down, rub their back a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we will agree together, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then if they keep waking up, we will typically do like a 5, 10, 15 minute check, and we will literally set a timer because it is hard, right? And I think it's harder to do that the older they get because at least in our kids' experience, they typically fell asleep after the 5, 10, 15, where sometimes Owen can really get going because he's 3 now, he's older, and he's like, no, my terms.
Yeah. Everything's on his terms.
But this last time we came up with I think a really good plan. It's working. We threw a little bit of a wrench in things because it also coincided with us getting rid of his passy.
Yep.
And he decided that he was going to replace his passy with an almighty obsession with Dave. And if you guys listen to this podcast, you know that Owen's already obsessed with Dave. So increasing the level of obsession has been interesting.
It's been problematic.
Yeah. So, sleep regression combined with he changed rooms at daycare from toddler to preschool. He's not big on change.
Mm-hmm. He's very, very much into his routine. And
he loves his routines. Yep. He has no more passing anymore. So he will wake up and immediately start screaming, bloody murder for daddy. I want daddy.
He can't soothe himself back down.
Yeah. Which he is doing a ton better. But like if I go in there and he's screaming, I want daddy, it's get out of here, mommy, get out.
Or
go,
I don't
go,
want
go.
mommy.
Or I don't want mommy. Yeah. And he'll tell me to leave him in there with the lights off until daddy comes. I'm like, okay, fine.
So I've been getting up a lot recently.
Yes. I will wake up with you in solidarity.
Yes. Well, and the monitor's closer to you.
And usually I hear Owen first going, I want daddy. And then I hit Dave and go, he wants you. But we were setting 10-minute timers, especially when he wouldn't go down at his bedtime.
Timers have been at a toddler 3-year-old. Timers have been really key on some real important things.
He respects the timer.
Yeah, more than us.
Will, yeah. So we'll say, okay, you can play with your color changing cars in the sink for 10 minutes. Let's set a timer. And when it goes off, he's good. He's done. He knows he needs to be done.
One of the things that we let him do, though, is we let him start it. We let him stop it. We do the same thing with TV. If he's watching TV and we want to end it, to avoid temper tantrum or anything like that, we give him the remote and say, listen, you can turn it off, but we need you to turn it off now. And maybe there might be a little minute or two, lull in that. But he inevitably, 99% of the time, turns it off himself. And then just goes off and plays. And I think it's because he feels like it's on his terms.
It was his choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't, but he's the one that did it.
He feels better about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's been working great.
It has. We also we pick 3 books, sometimes more, but we pick 3 books to read. And the last one, I try to read a little slower in a more monotone voice.
We discovered, I think I discovered that.
You discovered that, yeah. And then...
it was really just because I was tired.
Yeah, there was one day Dave was reading his Meet the Cars book, and Dave was literally falling asleep reading it. So I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, she's going so slow. But then Owen fell asleep while we were reading it. So we have implemented that into our routine, and it's really helped. Sometimes Owen picks up on it. But like tonight, he also was not feeling great tonight, but we actually, sometimes if he falls asleep right before the end, he doesn't believe that we finished it. So we were like 2 pages from the end, and you were like, oh, and wait, we're almost done.
Yeah, because I could foresee him waking up thinking that he needed to finish that book.
And then he tries to start over.
Right. The whole thing.
The whole thing. So if he falls asleep in like the middle, it's fine. But when he falls asleep right towards the end, he thinks you're trying to trick him.
Well, we just added some of the pages back in, and there's like the flea guy.
PT Flea
from Bug's Life.
Yeah.
And he thinks it's funny, and he thinks it looks like a dinosaur
so
or whatever.
So if he misses that,
but if he doesn't remember
upset.
that now, he's going to remember he doesn't read the whole book. We should have taped those pages at like the beginning or something.
But that has been working. And it does. Sometimes I'm sitting there reading Meet the Cars, which is just naming cars, or Go Dog Go really slowly in a monotone voice, and it kind of drives me insane as I'm reading it, but it's worth it.
Totally worth it.
It's
like the equivalent of like winding down.
Yeah.
For him.
Yeah, it is. It's funny. I didn't realize that you and I talked about having a plan so much until probably no, until I think it was 2 weeks ago. And Owen was really in the middle of his regression and really latching onto you, still feeling kind of sore about not having his passy. And I think you went to refill a water or something, and it was bedtime, and he looked at me and said, okay, what's the plan? I was like, what did you just say? And he was like, what's the plan? So I told him,
what the plan
We're going to set a timer for 10 minutes. Then we're going to pick 3 books. And then you give mommy a hug and a kiss, daddy a hug and a kiss. Dad lays you down. We cover you with your blanket. And we say goodnight. And he was like, okay. So we're instilling the plan in him too.
It's working.
It is. It is. We will have good nights and bad nights, but I think for the most part, it's working.
Yeah, sleep regression, it just sneaks up on you. And maybe it's me personally, but I don't realize, like, if you get up with the kids in the middle of the night once a night for a couple of nights all of a sudden becomes 2 weeks, and you're like, yeah, it's just been a couple of nights. And all of a sudden, you realize it's been like 2 weeks that you've been doing this. It's enough for it to become a habit. And I don't know why it sneaks up on you like that. Maybe because it's at night, you just don't remember. But I feel like it always sneaks up on you and creeps up like real slowly. And looking back, you should have been like on day 3, been like, this is a problem. But it doesn't stick out like that.
Yeah, I think part of it is you're just tired at night and you're like, oh, it's only happening once. No harm.
Yeah.
And then the other part is you don't want to admit that you have to deal with the sleep regression.
Yeah, they're pretty brutal.
You just want it to go away on its own.
They've all been pretty brutal. It definitely got...
I feel like we've been really lucky with sleep regression. This one has been brutal.
But
up until this one, like I said, they've all been maybe a week and a half. And then they were gone.
Yeah. But that's because they've been sleep trained, and we go back and use those 5,
we
10,
use the
15
same tools, yeah.
And it gets them back into the routine pretty quick.
This one too, Owen's been having some nightmares. So
yeah, he watched Cinderella and got nightmares.
Guys, he watched Cinderella and had nightmares.
He has nightmares about the tree in it?
There's a tree at the end that I think Cinderella falls under when like the carriage turns into a pumpkin. She's literally just sitting under a tree. And he will wake up because he had a nightmare about that tree.
Yeah. It's weird things that kids pick up.
So we're not going to watch Monsters, Inc. for a while.
I still think Monster University is okay. We should watch it and see, but I don't think it's that scary.
Cinderella gave him a nightmare.
Cinderella, they're drawn weird.
Not even the scare. It's not like the stepmother.
Stepmother looks scary.
But he didn't have a nightmare about the stepmother. He had a nightmare about the tree that she sits under.
It's dark scenes. Dark scenes. Which is funny because our children are not scared of the dark. In fact, most of the time
they sleep in pitch black.
They sleep in pitch black. When I go in there and comfort him, we're always in pitch black. Although now he asks for the phone light because you do that. And I purposely do that so he thinks that it's still bedtime. But we just we navigate in the room without having any light or anything like that. And it's truly pitch black in there. I mean, you can't see your hand in front of your face.
We have blackout curtains and we have blackout film on the window.
Yeah. Because the person behind us keeps their floodlight on all night, right in his window.
Also, I went in there one time recently with the flashlight on my phone.
Because you're blind at night.
Because I can't see at night. And also, we had just put Owen down to bed. You went to the store to pick up some essentials from the grocery store. And Owen woke up probably 20 minutes after we put him down screaming, "I want daddy." And I was like, oh no, Dave just left. So I walked in there and said, "Buddy, you're okay. Let's have a hug." Because Dave says he goes in there and he says, "I'm going to pick you up. I'll give you a hug." He gives him a hug. And then he'll say, "Let's sit for 3 minutes. You can start the timer." And then he goes to bed for him. Sometimes he needs to sit longer, but to get him to calm down to the point where they can start the timer. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to use Dave's tactics. It'll be great. And I got in there and, "Where's daddy? I said I want daddy." And I had to explain, "Buddy, daddy went to the store. He'll be back. He'll be back soon. But until he comes back, mommy's here and I'm here for whatever you need." And he acted like you had literally walked out on us as a family. So we had to look daddy up on Google Maps to see that he was in fact at the store. And I sent Dave a picture of us in Owen's room and was like, "Guess who wants you?"
I rushed home very quickly.
Yes. And Owen thought it was very fun to watch you on Google Maps because we could see you walking around Wegmans. And
that is funny that you can see that.
Yeah, like we had to close it and refresh it, but then we could see you at different parts of Wegmans, and that calmed him down. It probably wasn't great sitting in a pitch black room with like a huge, like a big light, and then we did shadow puppets till you got home.
That's what he asks for, shadow puppets now.
But I was just keeping him calm till his obsession got home.
I don't blame you.
He was not going to go down without
Threw a
seeing
wrench
you
in it all.
first. Yeah. So now we're doing sleep regression again because of that one night.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Like I said, doesn't take much for it to sneak up on you. But I think that, again, sleep training, we're talking about sleep regression, but I think sleep training probably was a big factor in being able to redirect from sleep regression. Because both our kids slept very good from the beginning, and then they didn't as much, so we sleep trained both of them. And then it was fine. They both love sleep. I mean, Owen tonight asked to go upstairs and sleep.
Yeah, like 20 minutes early. Poor thing. He was doing that when you have a stuffy nose and you can't breathe through your nose. And 20 minutes before bedtime, he literally grabbed a blanket, looked at Dave and said, "I'd like to go up now." Poor thing.
Yeah.
He also,
hopefully he's okay.
He really only takes a nap like twice a week now. So
yeah, and he's figured out the car ride thing.
Yeah, we used to trick him into we're going to go on a car ride. And we just drove around until he fell asleep.
And we changed his seating position, which he actually really likes. He's forward facing now at 3.
Yeah, we waited at his 3-year-old appointment. I asked his pediatrician, "Hey, when do we move his seat forward?" He looked at me like I was insane, but I was like, in the birthing class, they said keep him backwards as long as humanly possible. So that's what we've been doing. And he was like, "Isn't he so cramped?" It's like, "Yeah, but they said keep him backwards as long as humanly possible." And he's like, "You can really turn him around at 2. So good job. You got an extra year in."
We moved them both around, and he really enjoys that now. And we can now get into our van in the back seat.
Oh my gosh, it feels like a whole new car.
It does. A lot more room. Well, I think that's it for sleep regression.
Yeah. We're not experts, but I would say have a plan and talk with your partner, your husband, your wife.
Yeah, don't let it turn into a fight.
Yeah.
Or an argument or animosity.
Yeah, because when you're tired, it's easy to...
Everyone's a little irritable, agitated. Nobody wants to get up. As much as you love your child, nobody wants to get up in the middle of the night.
Yeah. It's frustrating, so if you find that you are getting frustrated with each other, just take time during waking hours. Don't do it at night. Get through the night, brew that coffee, go buy your coffee wherever you like to get it, and then have that conversation and say, okay, what are we going to do tonight? And maybe it'll work, or maybe the next night you'll have to plan something different. But I always feel like
it's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, going in with a plan just helps me feel better because it's not a free-for-all then.
Yeah.
We'll try this. It either will work or it won't, and then we'll move forward.
I agree. Thanks for listening to the Spillproof podcast. As always, reach out to us at spillproofpodcast@gmail.com.
We'd love to hear from you all, and we can't wait to talk with you next time.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.